this video, we're going to talk about planning your project and how you can create and use a project plan. The tool we're going to show you is called a visual project management. We all know that with complex projects, activities need to be planned. But did you know more often than not, it's not a lack of planning that most project teams struggle with the most. It's the way the plan is used as a living document to manage and execute the project. During projects, some major pitfalls include leaving the plan in a drawer, a lack of flexibility and agility regarding adjustments, poor visibility around project progress and resource allocation, and last, stubbornly sticking to the plan even though it needs editing. Visual project management combines effective planning and efficient execution. It will give enough flexibility to accommodate the inevitable changes and drawbacks that every project will encounter. One of the biggest benefits of the tools are flexibility, easy spotting of bottlenecks, and help for teams to consistently improve the way they work. It does this by using right-to-left planning as well as interactive and short learning cycles, which results in easy consensus and accountability for the team. Let's dive right into creating a living planning routine with visual project management. There are 5 easy rules to remember when creating and working with a visual project plan. First, make sure that it is visual and easy for the team to see, either physically or in a virtual setting. Second, break down the different activities with how long they will take and who will perform these actions. Third, put milestones in the plans in terms defined as output or deliverable. The fourth rule is to work from right to left, starting with the end and then letting the team work on the actions needed to get there. And lastly, define a routine and be sure to be flexible so that you can improve as you and the team work on the project. Now we'll walk you through each of these steps in detail. The most simple and effective way to visualize your planning, especially if you have your team in the same location, is a big paper plan with post-its for activities and milestones. The best scenario is to have your plan in the area where your team is working and they can see it. However, if you have a virtual team, you will need to make it accessible using online tools. The plan is the heart of visual project management. It needs to be set up in a way that supports and helps your team to deliver. In order to minimize misunderstandings and inefficiency, make sure there is only one plan and not multiple versions, and the whole team is involved in its creation. Most projects are complex, and it can be difficult to manage the balance between having an overview and knowing the details of the plan. So how do you ensure to keep it clear and simple, but also capture all the necessary details in your plan? An effective way is to create a breakdown of the work called a work breakdown structure. In this example, we're going to use a weekly plan. We have 12 weeks, and we're going to start with defining the work streams. I have color coding for the different steps in pink, the different outputs in green, and the different activities will be in yellow. So let's start with the different steps. For basic structured problem solving, we have 5 steps. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Problem-solving projects are similar. With your team, think about the different areas to be addressed for successful completion of the project. These will include measuring the current situation and the size of the problem, analyzing and verifying root causes, implementing solutions, and standardizing the improvements. At this point, the goal is to highlight the bigger work chunks. You will consider the detailed activities in the next step. After you've agreed on the different buckets, together with your team, you create a list of activities for each bucket and the intermediate milestones to check progress. The next step is to map out your deliverables. So for example, for the define step, we have scope the problem, get a commitment, and make a plan. You can find the details of this in the attached PDF. Take care to realistically plan the duration of the different activities to minimize wishful thinking for your timelines. To help you and your team with resources, you can also see if there are activities that people outside of the team might be able to help you with. The next step is to detail out the activities in order to accomplish the deliverables. For example, to scope the problem, you and your team will make a SIPOC. To get the commitment, you will create a project A3. And finally, like we're doing here, you will need a plan and you will use the visual project management tool. These items are described in your Project Starter Kit. Now you have an idea of the plan. Next step would be to discuss with the team the different actions you need to take and plan the resources necessary to fulfill it. Let the team members write each of the milestones and activities on the post-its. One activity equals one post-it. You write the output to be delivered, the person responsible, and the expected date of completion. Post-its have the advantage that you can easily move them around the paper plan as you map out your timeline. Together in the team, you now put the post-its on the plan to get a time sequence. It helps to plot the major milestones first. To create the timeline, it is important to use right-to-left thinking. This means starting with the end and working your way backwards rather than starting now and moving and planning forwards. This is because in most projects you face the dilemma of not only delivering a certain result, but also completing this by a certain deadline. Here, right-to-left thinking has a clear advantage as you start with the end and plan backwards. It shows bottlenecks early on so that you can rework your plan and decide on potential trade-offs to be able to arrive to the result in the expected timeline. When you've plotted all the different activities in sequence for all the streams, you and your team can adjust and shift the activities until it fits and everyone can commit to the plan. If the timeline doesn't work, rediscuss deadlines and resources needed with your stakeholders. The next step is to define a review routine so that you can make your plan become a living and breathing document that is used. While your plan is the strategy, the review routine you create with your team ensures the execution. The best reviews are the ones where the whole team stands together in front of the project plan and discusses it as a team. Which activities are done? Which activities are upcoming? Are there any changes necessary? Are some of the questions you can ask during the review. For projects that are running for several months, we recommend having a review once a week. For very short projects, you may need daily reviews. In the reviews, you will come to appreciate having a physical plan. It has the advantage that everyone sees the same thing, and at the same time, it fosters a more dynamic collaboration. Team discussions involving moving post-its back and forth will help get more engagement from your team members. To reap the full benefit of visual project management, be sure to add a point in your review agenda to talk about the efficiency of the meeting, the way you worked as a team, and how you could further improve. Some teams find it useful to have a parking list to collect topics to be discussed in the next review. Don't fear challenging discussions, as this will help your team grow better and be more effective over time. It helps to collect reasons for postponing different activities. This way your team can analyze them and create actions to improve. Last but not least, you can add measures of project progress to the discussion, showing if your milestones drive the project in the right direction. For example, number of delays, number of activities completed on time, etc. If you can't have a physical plan because your teams are virtual or in different locations, make sure to keep it functional and interactive. Post-its and whiteboards also exist on online tools that you can find. Here is a typical agenda you can use for your reviews. Feel free to adapt it to your needs. Usually reviews are done in between 10 to 30 minutes. In order they are status updates on last week's activities, delays of activities and reasons, review upcoming deadlines, review and update coming weeks and activities and the support needed, successes from the previous week, and improvements of the way the team works. Be sure to keep the meetings crisp and short. If you have to discuss things in detail, schedule a separate meeting to work on the problem or issue. You want to make sure all the team members are actively participating, including taking responsibility for their own post-its and activities. With the visual project management tool, you and your team members will be able to plan out your timeline, be proactive in managing your activities and deliverables, as well as improving the way you work as you progress throughout the project. Hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck with your project planning.